All right, part 2 of the Pierce Brosnan era. Okay, I'm excited about this one. This was wasn't as good as Goldeneye, but it's good. Let me get my water out of the way. So here it is. Tomorrow Never Dies, 1997. This was directed by Roger Spottiswoode, and this was Pierce Brosnan's second outing as Bond. He was 44 when he did this. We have Michelle Yeoh in here with Wei Lin, Terry Hatcher playing Paris Carver, who was actually supposed to have a larger role, but she didn't. We have this professor. It's weird. I call her Random Blonde in this because she seems random, but it's Professor Inga. I can't even say her last name. Let's see it. Bergstrom, I guess. But she's in the movie for like 30 seconds. But either way, our villain is Elliot Carver, played by Jonathan Pryce, who's awesome in this. We get a BMW, that's amazing. Sheryl Crow did the song, but I don't really have any facts to open this up. This was a Bond that was under 2 hours, so all right, an hour 59 minutes, so 1 minute under 2 hours. It's weird that it's under 2 hours, but it's paced out like it's over 2 hours, because I thought this movie was well over 2 hours until I checked the timestamp, and I'm like, wow, that felt like a lot longer. Because this one drags out a bit. It's all right though. So we open up. Our opening is another Russian thing. We're in the snow. Looks like Siberia again. It's not Siberia. They actually say what it is. I don't remember what it is. And M is in the open here. We have Dame Judi Dench sitting here. She's there. I guess there's a spy in there somewhere, and and she keeps saying, no, give him time. So you know it's Bond. And the CIA or whoever is there is just like, we need to get this done now. And they shoot a bomb at the place, and she's like, Bond's still there, and there's a bomb coming. There's no way to turn it around. There's no way to stop it. So Bond has to come out, do his pew-pews, you know, she's shooting everything, and finally he kind of gets free, gets in a plane and flies off, but there's someone in the plane with him, and he's garroted while he's flying, and it's a very strange opening. So they're flying, and there's jets chasing after him. He's getting garroted from behind. There's a plane that's above him, and he ejects the guy, and it shoots up, hits the other plane, boom, and he gives a very Bond line, backseat driver. This opening felt like there wasn't a lot to it. It just seems like it's happening. It does have to do with the main plot of the movie, just like most of the opening sequences do, but this one felt like it didn't. It was kind of a man one. Cool action, cool Bond moments, yeah. But, you know, just, meh. But then we get the title sequence, which is what I think might be the best title sequence I've seen. This was really cool images. We have x-rays of guns going off, so you see the guns working. Cool, sexy lady, robot ladies. Very, very, very sci-fi, very awesome. The song was because it's Sheryl Crow, so it's going to be a kind of a poppy thing. And I know that Bond is a poppy thing, but, you know, we get Adele singing one of the songs later, so it's like, it was very cool. But the entrance was awesome. I love this entrance. It's very cool. So title one, cool. The opening sequence, meh. But so we're gonna get right into it, because this story is very unique. This was another one that was originally written. There are no more Ian Fleming books or short stories, so we're just going to have to kind of make it up as we go along now. And Tomorrow Never Dies was a really cool premise. I actually liked this premise. This was almost Tom Clancy-esque. And if you don't know who Tom Clancy is, he wrote the Jack Ryan novels, Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, stuff like that. He's very espionage, and he knows his stuff, and this was almost like that. The villain here, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what's going on. Usually I save it till the end when it's all revealed anyway, but this is a villain who basically, it's CNN. He has his own news company, and he wants to make sure that his news company is the only news company. So what he does is this bad guy writes out the stories. He's like, British soldiers killed, and then he goes and makes that happen. It's like he is horrible. He's like, oh, bombing in China, and he goes and bombs China, and that way he gets the rights. He gets the scoop, if you will. And these news stories hit his channel first, making him the news guy. And his whole thing is he wants to have exclusive news rights in China, so he's going to cause something to happen in China. And that's literally the whole story. But I think that is such a cool premise. Like, this guy is just an entertainment mogul that wants power, so he is creating these events, and they are just horrific events. They're not just like, oh, some lady got robbed. This is like global disasters. Not like weather disasters, but war and stuff like that. And he even has a line in there, and he was like, he's quoting another person, but he's like, you provide the pictures, I'll provide the war. And it's an incredible story, and I really wish the movie would have been better. But as it stands, the movie was a mess. It was very it wasn't very cohesive. And there's one gripe that I'll get to. I have one major gripe with this movie. Like, it's just but a lot of people will love it. I hated it. So anyway, we start the movie with the real meat of the story, which is there's a boat, and there's another boat no one can see. It's kind of cloaked. It comes into play later. This boat is not able to be seen on radar, and they shoot a missile towards some Chinese boats, and then they shoot a torpedo, which has this little drill on the end of it, towards a British boat, and it hits the British boat, and it sinks the British boat. Or it hits it and causes some damage, and it starts to sink. So they shot the missile first and the torpedo second, making it look like they were attacking each other. And while this boat is like about to be attacked, right before it's attacked, everyone's just like, oh, what is going on? There's a missile being shot. What's happening? And we see this. I'm sorry the picture isn't better, but that is Gerard Butler. It's like this is Gerard Butler's like second movie ever, and he has a speaking line in it. And when he popped up, I was like, there's no way that's Gerard Butler. Look it up on the computer. It's Gerard Butler. Gerard Butler was in a Bond movie. And it's funny because later on, Gerard Butler was one of the choices to play Bond at some point. So that's really neat. But we saw Gerard Butler, super cool. They actually shoot down. There's two Chinese planes, and they're like, "What's going on? Why is there Chinese planes flying over our boat?" And the cloaked boat shoots down one of the Chinese planes and sinks the boat, looking like people are being attacked. And then you see the headline. There's a little headline that says British soldiers attacked, and or British soldiers murdered at sea. And you see the British soldiers coming up in their life jackets in the water, like, what are you doing? And the cloaked ship comes out, and you see this dude come out with a machine gun and just lay waste to all of them. So they're murdered at sea. And so the next scene, we pop up, and we're basically seeing M, like, how did they know this happened? You know, it just now happened. How is it already being, or how is it already on this news channel? So there it is, right there. It's like, that's already the mystique of the movie. It's a very cool premise. I like this. It's better than having a laser up in the sky that shoots down and destroys people, or killing people with sharks or something like that. This is a insane mastermind kind of thing. This is what I want from Bond. I want intrigue, stuff like that. And later on, Casino Royale, some people hated it, but I love the plot of playing poker to gain funds to fund a war. Like, he's in this huge poker tournament to win millions of dollars just so he can fund a war. I love that. People are like, no, that's dumb. He's evil. He's like a bad guy in Bond. He should already have the money. I'm like, no, put some realism in it. And this to me is kind of like realism. So I like this. But anyway, we meet the guy behind it, who is Elliot Carver. And Elliot Carver kind of looks familiar. He is in Game of Thrones. He's played by Jonathan Pryce, who is in Game of Thrones. And he's when you watch him do this speech, he does a speech, and it's he's clearly ripped off of Steve Jobs. I mean, clearly, it is. There is no doubt at all. But this guy is Steve Jobs. So, but once again, he wasn't supposed to be played by Mr. Jonathan Pryce. They offered the role to someone that was offered a role in the last movie, in GoldenEye, in Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins was supposed to play this role. In fact, Anthony Hopkins signed on for this role, showed up for shooting, was about to start shooting this movie, and the production was so chaotic that Anthony Hopkins is like, I can't work like this, I'm out. And he quit on the spot. And he quit to go do Mask of Zorro, which is a movie that is coincidentally directed by Martin Campbell, who directed GoldenEye. Who he was like, no, I don't want to work. I don't want to do GoldenEye. I don't want to work for that director. And then he went on to work for that director. In case you don't know, Mask of Zorro, it has like Catherine Zeta-Jones and Antonio Banderas and stuff like that. So it's not the greatest movie, but I probably would have preferred to work at Tomorrow Never Dies, but it's the way he works, man. So then we get Bond with the random blonde. I couldn't even find a picture of her, but it's It's Cecile Tommen playing Professor Inga Bergstrom. You don't know her name. He just calls her Professor once, and they're just doing the thing. They're bonding, and she's just such a non-entity that I couldn't even find a freaking picture of her. I'm betting I could probably find one now, but if I look under the other one, let's do this. Watch this. Let's see. We're gonna look up Inga. Well, there she is. Look at that. All right, cool. So, Inga Bergstrom. I just downloaded that, and now it's right there. How cool is that? I like it. So, let's go ahead and pop that in there. All right. Sorry about that little break, but I couldn't find her before, and now I found her. So, it's very cool. But also, you totally see her left breast. There's a point where he lifts up, and it's there. So, PG-13 movie with nudity. There we go. You know my stance on that. But while they're doing this, M and Moneypenny's talking to Bond on the phone while he's kind of doing that. He's like, "Look, I don't know." And then, and then she's kind of like, "Yeah, well, you've always been a cunning linguist." And she hangs up, but she looks for M. M's right there, and Moneypenny's, "Don't ask," and M says, "Don't tell." I love that scene. It was cool. Once again, Moneypenny does get hit on by Bond in this, where he's like, trying to hit on her, but she's kind of like, about it. She's not obsessed with Bond, so, Moneypenny's supposed to be kind of in love with Bond. And it's supposed to be the unwritten romance. And it's not there with these two, but that's okay. So later on, they're telling Bond that he's going to have to go find Elliot Carver, who they believe is behind this whole thing, and we get a big, meaty chunk of this story in that M tells him, "You're going to have to go after his wife." Why? Because they used to date. Not only did they used to date, they used to be in love. And that was not in the original script. That was Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan came up with that, said, what if we had something? And it actually plays into the story really well. So it's very neat. And he's like, okay, we're going to go do that. But first, we got to go see Q to pick up some gadgets. We go there, and he meets Q, and we get the BMW. Not as cool looking as GoldenEye's BMW, but this BMW has everything. I mean, guns, rockets, remote control, tire spikes, reinflating tires. This thing has everything. And he also picks up some other gadgets while he's there, but mainly the best part of this is before he gets to it, he walks into a airport, and he walks up to the Avis rental car, and Q is there, and he's like, he's like, yeah, I'm here to rent a car. He's like, oh, you need a car. Do you need insurance? Definitely. Bodily damage? Oh yeah. Fire damage? Definitely. Personal damage? Hopefully not, but you never know. And Q is just like, because he knows his car's about to be destroyed. And it does get destroyed. But we get all this, and then we go to a party where Bond's about to meet up with Elliot Carver and everybody. He's going to meet up with Paris Carver, which is Elliot's wife. But first, we actually meet Wei Lin first. We meet Wei Lin, who is played by the wonderful Michelle Yeoh. I adore Michelle Yeoh. I love her movies. She is an incredible martial artist. And this whole movie, I'm just like, when are we going to get to see Michelle Yeoh kick butt? That's all I want to see. I want to see Michelle Yeoh get in there and mix it up, man. So I'm very excited when I see Michelle Yeoh. I knew she was in the movie, and I know of the fight scene she has, which is very cool. And but right after this, we see Paris Carver, who is played by Terry Hatcher. Terry Hatcher, I think she was in like Real Housewives. She also played Lois in Lois and Clark. The New Adventures of Superman, which was where Dean Cain played Superman, which everyone loved. I was like, this is not very Superman-y, but okay, whatever. Not supposed to be played by Terry Hatcher. The person who came closest was Natasha Henstridge. Natasha Henstridge from Species, stuff like that. But there was one other person that auditioned for this role, for the role of Paris Carver, and to quote Pierce Brosnan, and I 100% agree with him. The person that auditioned that didn't get the role was one of the most gorgeous women that walks this planet Earth, and that is Monica Belucci. And to quote Pierce Brosnan, the fools didn't hire her. She does get to come back. She actually is in a Bond movie later. But man, why do you not choose Monica Belucci? She's absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous. I mean, don't get me wrong, the chick who played the random blonde was gorgeous too. But Monica Belucci, come on, man. I mean, not to mention she is an incredible actress. Like, she has the looks and the acting ability. Come on, man. There's one woman that is in this series that rivals that, and she's in Casino Royale, and that's Eva Green. So, and you just wait until the Casino Royale episode, man. You're going to see me stand and flip out over Eva Green. Let me get you started. I love Eva Green. But Paris and Bond are talking it out, like, oh, and she's like, oh, slaps him even. She's like, oh, you left me, whatever. And they're just kind of like going back and forth. But the bad guy, Elliot Carver, sees this and he's like, oh, so yeah, have him killed because he's around my wife. And they actually kidnap him. And this is I have a gripe here. This is an actual gripe. I don't have many gripes, but so they take him to this room. It's a studio where they record music. There's instruments and everything, and they're in there. They're kind of beating him up, and he's kind of trying to gain information while they're beating him up. And finally, he's had enough, and he just starts beating people up. And he beats up one dude. He like uses a piano as a weapon. He uses a cello as a weapon. It's actually kind of funny. And he throws one dude through the window, and then goes in there and takes out another guy. And this is where I have a gripe. From this room, the Elliot Carver is outside of the room giving a speech, a very important speech about how his news company is going to be the leading news company in the world. He's broadcasting it to everybody. We're going to be the powerful news company. We're going to be here. We're going to cause innovations, looking every bit of Steve Jobs that he can, giving his charismatic speech. And Bond hops through this window and flicks a switch and turns off all the power. It's not that he flicks a switch and turns off all the power. That's my gripe. The gripe is, why would the bad guy take this guy to a room adjacent to another room where he can turn off all the power and stop his speech? I mean, let's say that the guy's like, there's no way he's getting away from these three guys. He's going to get his butt kicked. Everything's going to be fine. This guy's a wimp. He's a banker, which is what he was pretending to be. And there's no way. Even if that, I'm not sending this guy to a place where he could potentially stop me. I'm sending him outside or something. But no, he puts him in the exact room where he can turn off all the power. I had a gripe with that. That's a big plot hole. I don't like that. This guy's supposed to be, this Elliot Carver is supposed to be one of the smartest men in the world, and he does this. It's like, no. It actually docked points. This movie was setting steady at an 8, and it docked points for me. Like, it docked it down to 7.5. I was like, Actually, I think it was about an 8.5. It was really good, but then I knocked it down to like an 8. I was like, no, I don't like that, you know. There's others, and then it started to drag, and that knocked it down to like a 7.5. So it was setting steady at 7.5 for a while, but there's a moment where I'm like, it knocks it all the way down to a 7. But so we get he turns off the power. I'm still stuck on that. But after he gets beat up, Bond goes up to his hotel, and Mrs. Carver, Paris Carver, is going to be there to greet him. She's there, and they gets down. Bond sleeps with a married woman. He's a scumbag now. And it's like, all right, cool. And here's the thing. Here's a funny thing. Like, there's a moment where Terry Hatcher strips her clothing, and all you see her in is her black panties, and it's like, okay. And it's kind of sexy and everything. And Terry Hatcher was pregnant during this movie, which is why Mrs. Carver has such a small role. She was supposed to have a much, much larger role. And they were like, what happened? She got hired on. She was actually hired on, I think it was like 2 weeks or 7 days before filming started. And they got her in there, and she was filming, she was about to start filming, and she was having morning sickness, and she's like, I need to go to the doctor. They went to the doctor. She's pregnant. And they're like, crap, she's pregnant. And, well, we've already got her hired. We've already paid her. So, and they decided just to go ahead and shoot all of her scenes in about a week or two. So they finished up everything she had to do in a week and then sent her on her way. So very small role for Miss Hatcher because of that. And Terry Hatcher actually does not like her role in this because it was so small. But while she's knocked out because Bond did the deed, Bond goes off and he's going to go into Carver's little abode, and he finds a safe. He's got this cool little machine that he looks at. It's a thumbprint safe. You put your thumbprint on it, opens the safe. And he has this little thing where he scans the thumbprint scanner and gets the thumbprint off of it, and then turns the thing around and puts the thumbprint on the thumbprint scanner, and it scans, and he opens it, and he steals this thing with a bunch of numbers on it. That's it. Okay. Cool. He steals this thing with a bunch of numbers on it. So, and on his way out of this place, he runs into Wei Lin, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on here? What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, nothing." And then all the bad guys come in. We get pew pews and stuff. Wei Lin runs this way. Bond runs this way, and then we see that Wei Lin is not just some journalist. She might be a super spy. There's a moment where she has a wire attached to her, and she's just walking casually down the wall, and she's just waving at Bond, and you can see Bond is annoyed because he's just like that. So he's running, getting shot at, and I'm pretty sure that he's being chased by stormtroopers because every single bullet is missing him. It's just he's just like, all right, cool, whatever. And then, but he finally gets out of there, and he's driving away, but he gets a phone call while he's driving away from the lair. And it is Elliot Carver. And he's like, I need you to return the 2 things that you stole from me. What are you talking about? The little red thing with numbers on it, and my wife, who is at your hotel. And automatically Bond goes, oh crap. And he punches it. He's going to make it there. And he finds Paris dead. Mrs. Carver's dead. She's dead on the bed. And Bond is like, oh no. And the TV turns on. It's like, Mrs. Carver has been found dead in a hotel. So this just happened, and now it's on. He's like, what? Been found dead in a hotel by seems to be a murder-suicide. She was found with an unknown male. And he's like, oh crap. And you hear the gun click, and it's an assassin. And this assassin is just like, yeah, come on, and this whole time he's up there. He has put the number thing in the car inside the airbag thing, and all right. And then there's bad guys trying to break into the car, and they're being electrocuted, and they're like, "What are you doing?" They're trying to break in with sledgehammers, and they can't get it. And the assassin is just like, "All right," and they call the assassin, "Hey, you can't kill him yet. You gotta get him to tell us how to get in this car." And he's like, "Oh, this is stupid," and it's kind of a funny moment because the assassin is just like, "This is really awkward, but I need you to tell me how to get into your car." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Here, just take my phone and hit resend 3." And he's like, "All right." And the guy hits it, and it electrocutes him. And Bond takes the gun and points it at his head. The guy is holding the gun to his own head, and he's like, the guy's pleading with him, man. He's like, "Hey man, I'm just a professional doing a job." And Bond has like this moment where he turns into just evil, and he is like, "Me too." Pow! Pops him in his head. Done. It's like, whoa, dude. So there's your strange man who committed suicide. So the news thing did happen. Craziness. But he actually has to escape. And he's going out there, and he knocked out all the bad guys who were trying to break out the car with gas. But he hops into the car in one of the coolest car chases where Bond isn't even driving because he actually uses the remote. He has a remote control that drives it. And it's funny because when he's mentioning it at the very beginning of the movie, Q is like, "Oh yeah, you can remotely start this car. Check it out." And I'm sure that in 1997, people were like, "Whoa, that's the coolest thing." And now you do it, and everyone's like, "Yeah, you got a remote start, cool, whatever." You know, a Tesla can do that. A Tesla can drive itself too. So, but he's like driving it with his little remote control, like driving it away, and he hops in, and he's not even driving the car. He's in the back seat, just driving the car, which is. It's one of the coolest freaking things I've ever seen. He's just like, ha ha, and all these things he's doing. He's shooting missiles. He's like cutting things, and like he's shooting all the bad guys with his guns and his missiles, and he's like running around. There's even a moment where he has to back up because he drops all these tire spikes. The cars drive over it, pop their tires, and wreck. And he keeps going. He can't get out the gate because it's closed. He tries shooting it with missiles, can't open it, but he backs out and he drives over the tire spikes and it pops his tires, and he keeps driving, but then he presses a button and the tires reinflate, and Bond just goes it's like so wicked cool. Needless to say, this car is going to be high up there on the car rankings. But he actually drives through the top of the garage and jumps out of the car and drives off the garage, and it lands into an Avis rental car place. So he returned the car, and the bad guys are like, "Whoa, where'd he go?" He finally escapes, and we go later on to he's gonna have to get revenge on Elliot Carver, and he enlists the help once again of Joe Don Baker. He's back, and I was wrong. Last episode, I said that Joe Don Baker comes back to play a different role in this one. I was wrong. He actually plays the same guy. So there's something. I'm not. I actually got that wrong. I'm wrong a lot in these videos. If you watch, you'll see it many times where I say something wrong. So, but he gets out, and they're like, "Okay, well, we need to go find some evidence of what happened." So at the beginning of the movie, the ship that sank, you're gonna have to go down there and get some evidence. And he goes down there. He's not finding anything, but Wei Lin's down there, and they meet up and they're like, "Oh," and they're both taken. And we get the power speech. "Oh, I just want power, blah, blah." It's not the greatest speech in the world, but he gives it. And they actually escape, and they jump out of the building and rappel down using a big poster, which is kind of neat. And then we get a scene that's really cool, and I like this little tidbit. But there's a scene where Bond and Wei Lin run to this motorcycle, and Wei Lin's trying to get on the driver's seat. Bond's like, "No, no," and then he gets on the driver's seat, and she's like trying to fight him. That is a real fight between Pierce Brosnan and Michelle Yeoh. That is a real fight, because right before they shot that scene, the director, Pierce, come here. Do not let Michelle Yeoh drive this motorcycle. Don't. "Oh, okay, yeah. Minutes later, "Hey, Michelle, come here." do not let Pierce Brosnan drive this motorcycle. So he turned these two against each other in real life for this scene and did not tell the other one that he set that up. He was like, yeah, you're going to fight for him. You're going to fight. Just do it. He never told him that. So that fight was real. And it's very, I think that's very cool. And to cap that off, Michelle Yeoh said in an interview that Pierce Brosnan was one of her favorite people to work with because he was a pure gentleman. And I love that little tidbit because it's really cool. And I'm a huge fan of Michelle Yeoh. So on this motorcycle, they're handcuffed together and they're having to do teamwork. And it's really cool because they're like, well, how do we set? She has to set backwards on the motorcycle, and then she's like, no, screw this. And she gets and straddles Bond, and he's just like smiling, like, all right, this is cool. And he's like driving, and they're pulling levers. She's using her sword or using a little pole to knock things off and hit barrels into people. It's a really cool little motorcycle fight. I loved it. There's a point where they jump over spinning helicopter blades. The helicopter keeps pitching forward and trying to chop them up with the helicopter blades, and they finally get cornered. And it's like, oh no, what do we do? They're going to cut them up with the helicopter blades, and they grab a clothesline, drive towards the helicopter, slide underneath, and then hook it, and boom, helicopter, boom, boom, done. They actually take it out, which is really nice. I like that. And then they're handcuffed together, and Michelle Yeoh takes her hair beret out, unclips herself, and then handcuffs him to a pole. Handcuffs Bond to a pole. It's like, yeah, see ya. I work alone. And he's like, all right. And he just pulls the pole and gets out, and he has to get in there. He has to go find her. She's in a bike shop, and this is when we finally get to see Michelle Yeoh kick some butt. And here's the thing. I haven't seen an Asian henchman this whole movie. They've all been Russian or something like that, or American. And she is in this bike shop fighting a bunch of Asian henchmen. I'm like, well, that's a little weird because, you know, like I haven't seen that. And there's a reason. It's because none of these stuntmen that worked on this movie would fight Michelle Yeoh because she has a tendency to actually hit people. The way she fights in her scene, she hits people. And they're like, I ain't fighting her. And so they had to get Jackie Chan's stunt team. Jackie Chan is not in this movie, but it is his stuntmen. And Michelle Yeoh has worked with Jackie Chan's stuntmen before. They help each other out quite a bit, actually. So we're here fighting. She's fighting all these guys, and it's very cool. I love Michelle Yeoh. She's such a good fighter, and it's so fun to watch. But Bond actually ends up saving her because one guy has a gun and Bond comes in. If I would have been here, then, you know, you might be dead. It's like, no, I would have got it. And then she hits a button and her whole bike shop turns into the Matrix, and you've got weapons coming out of the walls. She's got cool gadgets like a fan that throws strings that like tighten. She has a dragon that shoots fire. It's like she's got cooler gadgets than Bond. So, but we get what's going on with Elliot Carver. We finally find out that what he's actually trying to do right now is start a war between England and China. That way he can get rights to China. So trying to start a war between the British and the Chinese. So that is his goal. And it's kind of, but Wei Lin, they get to the hidden boat, and Wei Lin is taken, and Bond has to use a decoy. He kills a guy with a knife, and then everyone else is looking for Bond. He kind of pokes him around the corner. They shoot him. The guy falls in the water, and like, oh, Bond's dead. And he's like, yeah, I'm dead, whatever. And he's setting bombs and doing all kinds of crap. And this guy this Elliot Carver just wants his own news channel. That's all. He just wants to run all the news in the world. I just want CNN. Why can't I have it? And they stop him from, he actually is using Elliot Carver's right-hand man that, he's basically his computer genius that can blow up a button, can blow up, send off the missiles and stuff. And Elliot Carver's like, hey, is this missile arm? He's like, ready to go when you are. And he shoots him. Bond has him taken hostage. He's like, yeah, I'll kill this guy if you don't let Wei Lin go. And he's like, hey, are the bombs ready? Yeah. Kills him. So now Bond has no leverage. And he's like, yeah, but I always have a backup. Watch. Sets off a bunch of bombs. Boom, boom, boom. He's like, yeah, but the missile's still going. And they're going to send this missile to Beijing, blow up Beijing. and they keep trying to stop, and then like the Americans, Bond sends a thing to the British, and he's like, hey, so he's going to try to bomb Beijing. You got to tell the Chinese not to attack. And they work together. It works out. They get it, and the bomb's still headed toward Beijing though, and he's going to stop it. But Elliot's there. He kills Elliot with that drill torpedo. Drills him. It's like, God, it's awful. And then we get a missile fight. He's trying to disarm the missile. One of the henchmen, he's like, and the missile falls, traps the guy's ankle, and he throws Wei Lin in the water, chained up. She can't swim. She can't move. She's gonna drown. Oh my God. No. Bond beats the guy, of course, cuts it. The guy has him by his vest. He put a bomb on the bomb. He's like, all right, we're gonna blow up the bomb. And the guy gets trapped, but he's not letting go of Bond. Bond cuts off his vest. Bond goes into the water. The bomb goes boom. Henchman dead. Bond finds Wei Lin, who's about to drown, and they kiss underwater. And he gives her the air, unchains her. They escape, and then we get some Bond action later. Whenever they're like, "Oh, congratulations, you saved the world!" Da-da-da. And that's it. So, this was a movie. And if you watch this and you're like, dude, you described that movie and it was a mess. I have no idea what's going on. The movie's like that. I really didn't go too far out of my way to, make this cohesive. I just did the cadences. So the movie's kind of a mess. And then the gripe I have, the thing that knocked this down, the rating for this, 7 out of 10. It's my favorite. It seems to be my favorite rating. A lot of them are getting 7 out of 10s. But the reason this got knocked down to a 7 is, and it's a gripe that not a lot of people are going to agree with, but there were too many gadgets in this. Like, he literally, every time he got in trouble, he had a gadget to get out of it. Every single time. Like, the car phone that just so happened to be able to shock people. The bomb on the watch. I mean, the car, I understand. That's cool. It's a Bond car. But every time he got captured with Wei Lin and escaped, it was because he had a gadget. And it bugged the crap out of me. He had, I think I counted it up as a grand total of 9 gadgets in this. Come on, man. 1 or 2 is enough. And people love it, but this is not one of the more higher ranked Bonds. So, body count 30, love count 3. It was an alright movie. I mean, it's definitely up there. I would probably put it below Moonraker, but I liked it enough. But either way, that's the end of that one. We're moving on to the next one. The next episode will be The World Is Not Enough. Another Pierce Brosnan. Michael Apted directed this one. We have Denise Richards, Sophie Marceau. Who else is in this one? Serena Scott Thomas. I need to find out if she's related to what's her name. She probably is. We have Victor Zokis in here as a bad guy, and Sophie Marceau is amazing in this movie, by the way. And where we get something that's not happening often. I mean, we do get a BMW Z8, so another BMW, but we get something. We get a rock theme song. This is a grunge theme song. It is performed by Garbage. Yes, Shirley Manson's Garbage. We actually get that, which is really cool. So, hopefully you'll join me for that one. That will be my 20th episode. 20th. I'm almost done. I mean, we got 2 more Pierce Brosnan movies, and then everything switches up, and I go to Daniel Craig and the 4K movies, because the Daniel Craig movies are the only ones that have come out in native 4K. So, but join me next time. Thank you for watching. The World Is Not Enough is the next one, and it's 1999. So we're almost in the 2000s. Thank you for watching.